Hey guys, what's up? Happy 4th of July to everybody. What an awesome day to celebrate. Very excited to celebrate it and introduce my guest. My name is Jason Flame. Welcome to Master Motivation. My guest today is Mr. Michael Brewster. Michael Brewster is a Middle Georgia entrepreneur that has been doing martial arts for over 29 years. He's owned his school since 2000, currently owns two, and working on a third by the end of this year. He's into real estate, pottery, oil painting. He's a best-selling Amazon author, has been in the movies and TV shows, has owned and started several other businesses, and has about a bazillion. We'll have to figure out what that number is. A bazillion animals. He's thankful for his awesome wife, three kids, and awesome team that help him run his school while he works more on his main business than in his business. And he's with the big chicken. Welcome, Michael Brewster.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, and I'm sure I'm going to see you in a couple weeks at the Martial Arts Super Show. Correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir. Me and a bunch of my team are coming, and we're excited to learn. Yes, sir.
All right, sweet. So, how many years has it been? How many years have you gone to the Super Show?
Man, that's a good question. I think we came first. It was like 2 years after Chuck Norris was there the first time, because I think he's been there second times. So I want to say, just off the top of my head, maybe 2012, maybe 2010, somewhere around there. But we've came like a good 6 to 10 times. I mean, without a doubt, it's always a
Nice.
good.
Yep. Well, anybody watching that's ever been to the Martial Arts Super Show, I know you guys are gearing up and getting excited about it. We've had a lot of guests on my show that I actually have met from the Super Show. So I'm excited to get back there this year and be in Vegas. But let's talk a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about what it's like out there in Georgia, and tell us about how you got involved in martial arts.
Absolutely. Well, it's a little toasty today, of course. My bushes are dying from all the heat. It rains like once a month now, and I'm waiting on some more rain. I got my fan on over here to try to cool me, so I'm not sweating too much. But it's similar to Vegas. I'm getting ready for Vegas, right? So I started training when I was 13 years old, back in 1993, back in the 1900s, and I started in Kung Fu, and that school closed down like within 3 months or something. And then a little while after that, my current martial arts school opened up. So I begged my parents to start me there. I think Ninja Turtles were kind of my biggest influence back in the day. They were super cool back in the day, and got me just doing it. And I've been doing it ever since. I still have my same instructor. He moved, and I bought the school from him, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But I just got done training with him maybe like 6 or 8 months ago. So I still visit regularly, still training pretty much every day in martial arts, and love it. It's life changing and best thing I've ever done, for sure. So that's kind of the start of me. I bought my school when he had to move, so I bought my school in 2000, and we started our second school in, I think, around 2006. The wife's not here; she knows all the numbers and answers. I think we started second school in 2006. Everything's going great. Trying to ramp it up, of course, always, and we have an awesome team now. So trying to get a third location by the end of the year. Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on that, and looking forward to hearing more about it. Let's say hello. Good morning, Jason and Michael from Daniel Groff, one of my good friends. Daniel Groff, he says, Happy 4th of July. Thanks for watching, buddy. I hope you are not in the office right now and you are chilling and relaxing. Um, but here we go. So let's talk a little bit more. You started martial arts when you're a young teenager, and how did martial arts shape your life as a man, and how did it help you to develop the discipline? Because you're a very disciplined person that I know from the amount of workouts that we have talked about over the years, and you're an avid fitness enthusiast. So tell us about how martial arts shaped your life.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I've always been lucky with my parents, super awesome role models and everything like that. But my martial arts instructor, of course, was another huge role model, in my life growing up and everything. And I just remember being awed, like the first time I met him, like how fast he was, and how in shape he was and everything. Used to go running and biking and just kind of everything I do now. I'm trying to mimic. And yeah, martial arts is just ridiculous how much it can impact, lives. It's such a rare, I guess it's not a rare thing for people to do martial arts. A lot of people probably do it, but to stick with it for any extended amount of time, or even just black belt or whatever is pretty rare. So I'm fifth degree black belt now. I got my first degree in 1998, so it took me around 5 years, which was pretty quick back then, and just been absolutely loving it ever since. And just besides the obvious things like honor, respect, and discipline, all the little keywords, it taught me business, which was huge. Again, my parents were huge on business. They had poultry farms, hence the chicken, all kinds of different things like that. So that's part of my kind of business love. But then martial arts just opened up so many doors besides the movies and book writing, and just everything kind of came from the martial arts. Without the martial arts, I don't even know. People ask me sometimes, like, what would you be doing if it wasn't for martial arts? And I don't really know. I have a degree in early childhood education and business, but that's also kind of from the martial arts, wanting to be a better instructor and learn how to, teach kids and everything. So I don't know. I used to want to be an FBI agent. I've always kind of wanted to be an actor, an artist, and everything. Military, probably, if I didn't have a bunch of kids. Love the military. Um, yeah, I don't know, but martial arts was life changing for me and other people. I'm sure yourself as well. And yeah, I want to change it for the world.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we can talk a little bit more about that. Let's. My wife actually just walked right by my office, and so she's watching as she walked past the office. She's probably going to get her morning shake over Nothing Healthy, but she says Happy 4th of July, and she's looking forward to hearing this interview. So, if you're listening, let me know if you have any questions for Michael. All right. So, we're talking about martial arts and how the whole show is kind of based on kind of giving people um, motivation, but we both know that motivation only lasts so long. Motivation kind of is what gets us started, but it's the discipline that takes over that keeps us going. Would you agree with that?
I would. I was just thinking, like, again, a lot of people kind of do martial arts and they get some of the benefits, but if you do it longer, you get more and more benefits. And the discipline's huge. One of the things I never used to do as a kid was make my bed. I used to hate making my waste of time. It's more comfortable when the covers are all messy, whatever, in a messy room and everything. And I hesitate to say, I'd say probably like 6 years ago, because I'm old now, I started making my bed every single day. I only give myself off if I'm like in a hotel somewhere we have to go or whatever. I don't usually make my bed in a hotel, but every single day for like the last 6 years, I've made my bed, and it's just that simple discipline shift. Like, anybody can make their bed. It's not like challenging or hard or anything, but like getting up and doing it and completing a task, completing a goal, it sets your course for the entire rest of the day. It's like all the little simple things that turn into a habit, right? Because you don't
Hmm.
want to do something, you need to make it a habit. It all comes from the martial arts for sure. I mean, discipline, the motivation that it gives you when you see results over time. You can't get in shape in one day, just like you didn't
That's
get
right.
out of the day. It takes time, and martial arts kind of teaches you that with the different belt ranks, and of course, it takes time to level up and everything. So it's just, yeah, it does everything. It's great.
It's so funny you talk about the making the bed. Daniel and my wife and I were just literally talking about this last night. But I'm one of those people that it's like it's hard for me to leave without making the bed because it makes me feel like you said, like I've accomplished something. Even just that small thing. But it also makes me feel like if I leave and the bed's not made, there's like something out of place. I mean, I have like total OCD complex anyway, so it's like if things are out of place or not in order, it drives me crazy and it's distracting. Like honestly, it's distracting to get anything else done. But you brought up something else that I thought was really cool, and I've experienced it myself. Is that martial arts open the door for so many other things, open the door to other businesses or just that business mindset. The acting potentially came, maybe from an opportunity through martial arts. I mean, gosh, I could tell a lot of things that the martial arts, if it wasn't for martial arts, I would have never become a consultant. I would have probably never started a podcast. The other businesses that we have, so many things have come from the martial arts. And if I didn't have it, I don't know where I would be either. But tell us a little bit more about some of the doors that martial arts has opened up for you.
Absolutely. So, again, I bought my school at the age of 20, which is pretty young. I also got married at 20, so I was kind of I got a lot of things accomplished early. Bought my first house at 22. Not bragging, but just saying, like, I guess maybe the times are different and changing and everything, and I didn't have any college debt. All these different things kind of came from martial arts and just making sure that I had the right path and trying to make the right decisions when I bought the dojo. So I bought the dojo, bought everything in it, all that jazz, because again, my instructor had to go and he was looking for somebody, good. to take over. So luckily that worked out. When I bought it, I think I had maybe off the top of my head 30, maybe 35 students at the most, and we're well over 200 now. And we hope to keep growing it with multiple schools and everything, which we still should have double what we have now. But we're working towards it. It's a healthy life for sure. And so, after buying the dojo, I mainly concentrated on that. The second business that I opened was paintball fields. So I live in a relatively small town. I don't have like the demos in front of me and everything, but relatively small town, and not a lot to do for kids other than sports and of course martial arts, which is good. And so we started a paintball field. I used to be into paintball, action sports and different things like that. So I found a guy who was like liquidating his field, and I sent the wife down there, and we picked up all the big blow up bunkers, they're called, back in the day, and we traveled back and set them up and everything for the very opening the next day. That's how close everything was tied together. I planned and everything. We went and picked them up this day. The very next day was our grand opening. And we made like $2,000 in the first 2 hours. It was a great thing. We had big groups come in. We had tournaments and everything. And it was very fun. And what caused me to eventually sell it was that it wasn't consistent. Just like everything, consistency is important, right? If you make $1,000 in a second, that's great. But if you only do it one time in 1 second, it's not like life changing. If you do it every second for the entire year, oh my gosh, that's a ton of money. And so some weekends it would be packed. Some weekends nobody would show up. And no matter what, as a business owner, it, especially at first, you're the one working in the business. So I would sit out there on Saturday just seeing if anybody comes for 6 hours. Nobody would come, make no money. The next Saturday, a ton of people would come, make a ton of money. And it was very sporadic and hit or miss and everything. So we eventually tried hiring people to do it and everything. And the standard thing, they would have issues and they would call me and be like, what do I do? The air compressor's not working, or this, that, the other. You have to rush around solving all the problems. And we didn't lose any money or anything, but I decided just to sell the business. It was just too much time being used, even at that. Mm-hmm. So we kept it for maybe 3 years, and then sold that off.
And when was that?
Gosh, I should have like notes with the years and everything like that. I would say probably sometime around 2010, 2007, maybe somewhere.
So it seems like it was kind of early on, right? It wasn't
correct. That was early on. Yeah.
So do you think, knowing what you know now, because I consider you to be a pretty savvy businessman, and you understand marketing and everything that you know about your martial arts business and how you market your martial arts, would you have done things differently? And do you think that you could have helped that business to sustain itself?
Absolutely. It's kind of like, even if we didn't lose any money, we made money and everything. It's still, I don't want to say I feel like failure, but I don't like failing, like, period. Other than maybe tests back in school. I didn't really care about that too much. But other than that, I don't like, failing. So even though I sold the business and made somebody else, happy, and I got a new roof on the dojo because of it and all this other stuff, it turned out good. I still think sometimes, and even now, I'm always looking to open up other businesses, and we have a bunch of things in the work and everything. I thought about opening up, maybe not a paintball field, but more airsoft this time, because paintball mm-hmm. is like more messy, and you got to clean up, and it's just like whatever. Airsoft, you just pick up the bullets or sweep them or whatever you're going to do. And so we're thinking about doing some other stuff, because there's still, frankly, nothing fun to do, around the little town, or even in probably, I'd say, almost like a 30 square mile radius, like, other than a sky zone. Eventually, there's just nothing really. And so, I'm always looking for opportunities. So I would think if I could go back in time, there's not too much that I would change, other than maybe more training, for the staff that we eventually tried to bring on, because, mm-hmm. it's our fault if the staff didn't succeed or whatever. We're the root, we're the first level. So we didn't have a clue about how to train people and do things. It was just kind of like, the standard, throw them in and see what happens. It didn't work. But it was fun. And again, it was, if it was consistent, maybe would have kept it and everything. But it wasn't in our front yard, because we had a lot of land back in the day. We probably had maybe 40, 50 acres to work with. So it was kind of like over there. I could almost point to where it is. And now there's like houses over there and all kinds of stuff going on. But yeah, I definitely think about that and what it could have been, because there's plenty of successful paintball fields, but there's also plenty of crummy ones as well. So it was like a nice professional field. The grass was cut, we had big telephone poles with netting and everything. It was professional. And then eventually, once we sold that land, we moved the paintball field literally in front of our house, which Cheryl loved, because we have a good, amount of land here too. And we didn't put the netting up and everything, but we had big tires in the front field and all kinds of stuff going on. And so she wasn't a big fan of that, which was another reason why we sold it, which is understandable. So yeah, it
And
was that
tell me
time.
where are you at in Georgia? I mean, you're talking, you got all this space around you. I'm in California, and there's like, we don't have that kind of space like in our backyard where I could just throw a paintball field, right? I mean, we have a bunch of industrial buildings that we could do like an indoor one or something like that. But I mean, I'm looking right behind you, and I could see a field as far as it goes.
That's I got a quarter-mile driveway here, which is kind of a benefit and kind of a curse as well. Yeah, so basically we're right in the middle of the state. So we're in a little town called Forsyth. That's kind of near Macon. Some people maybe have heard of Macon. It's around 40 minutes from Warner Robins and some parts of Atlanta, 45 minutes to an hour away from Atlanta. So basically right in the middle of the state. And and yeah, so we right now we have like 12 and a half, 12 and a quarter acres. Again, we sold off some land and everything, but we basically have 6 acres in the back and 6 acres in the front. So we're kind of right in the middle of that acreage. So
And is
overall,
this? Oh, I'm sorry to cut you out. Is this where you grew up?
good question. So this is on the same road where I grew up. It's not the same house, because we built this house in, what did I say, 2020, or not 2022, 2002. That's how long ago it was. But I've lived on this street in different houses all my life. So I live, you could see great behind me. It's almost directly behind me, and a little bit this way is my original house where I was born and everything in. Across the street, and then down the road, maybe a half mile, is where I moved into, with Cheryl, when we were engaged and all that jazz, and doing college and everything, and a nice little log home. And then we moved here. So those are the three places that I've lived on the same road, but in different houses. So yeah.
Wow. How cool is that? I mean, I've heard statistics that say, most people live within, 15 to 20 miles of where they grew up. That's actually true for me, but you live like, you know, 15 blocks from where, you know what I mean? Hey, real quick, Sabrina says, it's awesome here, moved here from Moore Park. Wow. Very cool.
Nice.
So, tell us a little bit more about these opportunities that have come from martial arts, some things that you do outside. Maybe talk a little bit about how you got into acting.
Yeah. So acting is very fun. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but it's very fun, right? And one thing that stuck with me from my instructor back in the day, when before consulting, or around the time of NAPMA, if you remember NAPMA,
Hmm.
back in the day with the notebooks they sent you, whatever. He always said, like teaching a class is like a performance. It's acting, and so when you're teaching a class, you got to keep everybody excited. You got to, play like happy, funny, sad. You got to play like different parts: disciplinarian, mean guy, nice guy, whatever. And so it's always kind of entertaining and fun for me to teach class, and I always wanted to be an actor. And my first acting experience was actually because of my daughter, but also because mainly of the dojo. So again, I don't know when this was. This was probably around 2016, maybe somewhere around there. So a little bit more recent-ish. I get this call, and I'm actually like sitting at I think a Chinese restaurant or whatever. I get this call, and they're like, "Hey, we're from whatever casting place it was, and we're doing this movie kind of near you, and we're looking for girl martial artists. Do you have any?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I got a bunch, and everything." And so they had me put up like a little flyer, and different people, send in their info. So we have like a couple students in this movie, and they really wanted my daughter, and she was maybe 5 at the time. I think 5 years old at the time. And it's a girl assassin movie. It's called Barely Lethal. It's got Jessica Alba in it, Samuel L. Jackson, Steve O, I think, is actually in it. All kinds of people. And I got to meet all these people, which is pretty cool. And she did too, and a couple other, girl students. And it's about girl assassins. And so Emily, my daughter, is the very first person in the movie that you see. And she's like a little 5-year-old, and she goes and grabs an M16 off the little rack, and they're defending the little fortress thing or whatever the heck it is. And it's like super cool. And so they wanted her in there, and then they looked at me and they were like, you kind of look like a mercenary. You might fit in this movie too. Do you want to do it? And I was like, well, I didn't know whether to take that as a compliment or not, because I mean, whatever. Yeah. So they hooked me up with all the gear and guns. I'm wearing sunglasses, so I'm like the fifth person in the movie. Nothing, no huge part or whatever, but I'm in like three scenes or something, and that's kind of the opening where it started. And I was like, this is pretty cool. You got to meet like actors, you got to see behind the scenes and see how many people it takes just to film like a little bit of the movie. I mean, I think Emily only shot for like 2 days, and I shot for like maybe 5 days. And literally, Emily's probably in the movie maybe 5 seconds. I'm in the movie maybe 10 seconds. And it's like that much time and that many people, and Lord knows what their budget is, just to film that little bit of it. But we got to see stunts, where Jessica Alba's getting shot off in a helicopter and she's on like ropes, and I still have it on one of my old phones somewhere. And so it's like a really mind blowing, cool experience. And so I enjoyed that. You don't get paid a ton unless you're the star, but luckily, knock on wood, I don't have to get paid a ton just to do the things I like, because we have an awesome staff now and they can rock it. And so I started doing more and more movies, and I've been in, I mean, without counting, probably off the top of my head, maybe like eight different movies and stuff, and including Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. I'm in that. The Boss with Melissa McCarthy. I'm in some like college films where I'm more the star, but they're like not the greatest, whatever. But I'm in the Hunger Games, the last Hunger Games, a little bit. So it was like pretty cool. But martial arts started that, and of course you put it on your resume. And I've only done like one or two fight scenes in like the smaller kind of things, which were super fun. But again, that could be useful if I wanted to take it more seriously and spend a lot more time away from home, like doing stunt teams and stuff like that. It would have opened up those opportunities as well. So yeah, it's just super fun, and meeting all the actors, and there's most of them, and knock on wood, are super nice. They're not like the jerks you see on TV if you're in a small scene with them. I was Walking Dead, which is pretty awesome. So I don't even know if it's out yet. I got to keep track of this. I don't watch it, but I'm in like the very last episode on The President's Bodyguard. So I'm in that like several times theoretically. So that's pretty cool. I got to meet Daryl Dixon. Wait, that's his screen name. That's his real name. Whoever it is, the guy.
Yeah.
Daryl.
Yep,
But
yep.
all pretty sweet. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, what a cool experience. And I'm a huge. I love everything about movies. When I go to Universal Studios, it's like I like Universal Studios almost better than I like going to Disneyland sometimes, because I like really get into reading about the backstory or how it was created, and I'm always watching documentaries about how movies were made. As a matter of fact, I just really enjoyed. It's a series called The Offer, and it was all about how The Godfather was created. And Godfather is my favorite movie probably of all time. So just kind of seeing a movie about a movie, the backstory, but to actually be backstage, I've only had maybe a couple of opportunities being, backstage on film. So I got to be a part of Karate Kid 3 way back in the day, and, a couple other, small things here and there, but it's so just like you said, just to see everything in the background. But I'm also a huge movie fan, as I believe you are, because I see you rate movies pretty often when you go out and see a movie. And what kind of started that? Like, I mean, what are your favorite types of movies to watch?
Absolutely. So, yeah, and again, I've done before this. I've done like commercials for when I worked at a gym, and various things like that. So I've kind of always enjoyed it and been interviewed from doing self defense seminars and yada yada. But yeah, movie wise, I mean, obviously, I love action movies. I don't really like. I love comedies, action movies, and probably like almost kind of like fantasy, like Lord of the Rings, kind of stuff or whatever. I kind of like that stuff. Don't really like the long, drawn out drama stuff. I don't really try to watch the movies for like, like super awesome acting, or, like the photography in the film is like great because it has like a green background, or any kind of things like that. I remember back in high school, my English teacher was an awesome English teacher, but, we always used to watch a movie and they'd be like, oh, why is this sailboat red? And they would give this big, long, drawn out answer or whatever. And I'd be like, well, maybe they just had a red sailboat sitting in the back or whatever, and they just pulled it out. Not necessarily everything has to have a, deeper meaning, but obviously some movies do. And so, a couple of my favorite movies, obviously the original Star Wars is pretty up there. Comedy wise, Spaceballs, very humor and everything like that. I'm not an easily offended person, so I love all the like just old school stuff, Blazing Saddles, all that kind of thing that probably won't even come out now. Just because, you got to be able to laugh. And I'm a pretty easygoing, laid back person. So I like that, martial art wise movies. It's hokey, but, Kickboxer, of course, anything
Yeah.
with rent movies back when they did that. From Blockbuster, like nightly, I would go get this movie from Jet Li and watch it. Go get this one from, it's just, and fun, Enter the Wu Tang, everything like that. So, yeah, big movie buff. I don't watch as many as I used to, obviously. And then I want to do the ratings because a lot of times when you look at a review or whatever, people were paid to review it positively or whatever it is, and usually my thoughts are opposite of whatever the reviewer is. So like I love Rotten Tomatoes is usually pretty good about like legitimate kind of things and everything. So I just figured like, hey, I'll start, reviewing movies just for fun and just throwing it out there. Shoot those, to how many shoot those out of 5, just to drag in the martial arts, of course, a little bit, but just something different.
Well, I'll see you post sometimes, and I'm like, oh, he rated that movie pretty good. I should go check that movie out. I keep a list of movies that I watch both in the theater and in at home. Now that we got Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and every streaming opportunity possible, I probably, and this may sound sad, but I probably watch at least one movie every single day, a new movie, something that I've never seen before.
It's fun to get you away, out of the drag of every life, and everything gets you out of there. We just got done watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
The last one wasn't as good, I didn't give it as high a rating as the first couple, but it's still pretty cool. And then I'm watching The Boys now. I really enjoy The Boys because it's so super weird and strange and just like it's crazy. But yeah, those are I'm kind of into now. Yeah.
Haven't seen that one yet. I've heard a lot about it. A lot of friends have suggested it. So we'll see. But hey, guys, if you're watching right now, you're watching this live. Drop us a question. If you have any questions from Mr. Brewster, anything you want to know, anything you want to talk about, want to hear us talk about, please just drop it in the comments. Or if you just want to say hi, let us know that you're here. That would be great. And if you want to share it out there as well. Let's talk about the fitness industry, and let's talk about your just your workouts and how. When did you start working out, lifting weights? Because you're not the guy that just like just goes out and runs. I mean, I know you lift weights, right? So what got you into lifting weights first?
So that's an interesting question. I remember I told my son this like 2 years ago. So I was always having a pretty high metabolism growing up, and pretty skinny, and I played sports. I was pretty good at like tennis and different things. I was never like a starter on the football team or anything, but I played pretty much every sport and had fun. And I remember like I can't remember what book it was, but there was some book where it was about a kid trying to play sports, basketball. I can't remember what the heck the name of it is, but it was a great book. And one day he just decided to eat more to kind of try to bulk up a little bit and get bigger because he was tired of being skinny. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I remember sitting there at dinner one night, and I was probably maybe 12 or 13, right before or as martial arts was kind of happening, because it was all motivation going kind of at the same time. I remember thinking like, I'm just gonna eat double. So it was like, I remember it was shake and bake chicken. I don't know if you ever had shake and bake chicken.
Oh yeah.
It sounds kind of silly, but that stuff was so good back in the day. It was like I used to eat the spices just by themselves. Anyway, but I always used to like eat a little bit and then go run and do something else or whatever. And this time I forced myself and I ate like 3 chicken breasts or something like that night. And then from then on, I just tried to like eat more. And then I started bulking up a little bit. And due to the sports and everything, I think my parents bought me one of those age-old things that you get with the kicking bag on it for Christmas one day, and the speed bag on the other side, and like a dip thing somewhere. And so that was kind of my first workout equipment that I remember. And then I remember right around probably 16 or 17, we had the opportunity. We had a weight room, of course, for the football team at my school I used to go to. And I don't think I did the football until like almost senior year, or maybe before that or whatever. But use the weight room. And after lunch every day, me and a couple friends would hurry up and eat lunch, because we had maybe had a 40-minute lunch. We'd eat lunch within like 10 or 15 minutes. And then we'd go to the weight room and like lift weights at the end of lunch just to get like a workout in. And it was more fun probably than anything like super serious, but we'd always bench press and try to do a max like every day, all the wrong things. but but it was fun. And then after that, of course, martial arts and everything happened. So I'd get super fit from doing just the classes, all the push-ups, and it was old school training. So it was good stuff. And and after that, we started doing the gym. I started working at a gym, personal training people, because we start again martial arts because we started a martial arts program at the gym. And the guy was like, "Man, you're in like phenomenal shape and everything like that, whatever." And he was like, "I'll hire you to be a personal trainer." So I was like, "Okay." And so I personal train. I love that, connecting with people and talking to people and having fun and trying to get them more fitness goal orientated and the motivation, everything, and just loved personal training. Super fun. Did a great job at that. Was like the number one personal trainer. Made a ton of money. Always scheduled booked. Great. So I love that, and I was in the gym every day. And usually my schedule is pretty packed, but no matter what, you're going to have like a 30-minute session here, a 30-minute session there. Somebody doesn't show up or whatever it is. So I would constantly work out. And then from there, we got into Spartan races, as you know, because that was one of my goals that year. And this was before they changed it pretty recently, where it was like super hard. Like you really didn't know how long the freaking race was going to be. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a ridiculous amount of time, so whatever. So I was like, that sounds like pretty challenging. So me and the wife did that, and we had a couple teammates do it. And so I wanted to get my trifecta, so I got that goal, and I actually did more than that. So now we're thinking about doing it again, getting back into that again, just because it's different than running. It's
Yeah.
like you can be good at running and be horrible at a Spartan race. You can be awesome at lifting weights and be horrible at a Spartan race. But to be good
Mm-hmm.
at kind of both, it's tough. It's one of the toughest things I've ever done. Um, that beast, I think, which is the hardest.
Yep.
And, and then from Spartan race, I mean, we've done other things. We did our home gym. Just working out is a big part. Martial arts, of course, duh. I still do that. Martial arts is a huge benefit fitness wise, of course. And then fitness should be, I think it should be, I can't remember what book it is. I should again have notes, but I remember reading, like on an airplane when the air things drop down, you put yours on first before you save your kid. It's not because you love yourself more or whatever. It's because you can't save your kid if you're dead. And
Mm-hmm.
fitness, I think, should be everybody's number one priority. They're always talking sometimes about money, sometimes about like what house they're going to buy or 401ks or whatever. None of that matters if you're not alive to enjoy it or improve it or be in your kid's life, whatever. Like fitness, your own personal fitness should be like the number one thing in the world, like to people, in my opinion. And a lot of people just take it for granted, like, oh, I'll work out again, next day, or I'll skip it today, I'll do this, do that, the other. But it really should be like the number one thing, because nobody's gonna lay on their deathbed and wish they ate more cake or watch more TV or whatever. They're gonna be wishing they got to live longer and enjoy all the things that they're working for. So I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just huge, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we're talking about that too right now because I feel the same way. Every day for me, well, except for today because I came in for the interview, but I'll go do my workout after. But like every day, it starts with my workout, and for me, my workout is more than just the physical aspect. For me, a lot of it is the mental aspect. I mean, the gym is the one place that I can go, put my headphones on, kind of block everything out and get my head right for the day, right? I mean, get it just like making your bed starts off your day, but going to the gym and getting a really good workout, and even the worst workout is still better than no workout, but getting everything moving and I don't know, it just for me psychologically it really helps me to get my head right for the day. When I'm feeling stressed, going for a run or going and doing a good heavy lift changes everything for me. Some people like to go and read or do that, and I love to read too, but the workout for me is huge. So I'm glad you brought that up. Couple comments since we've been chatting for a bit. My mom is watching. Hi, mommy. My mom's out in Utah now, so hope you're having a good fourth, mom. Don't let dad blow anything up. Sabrina says that she had to go, but tell Michael we need a ninja gym for kids in
That,
Pike County.
that actually, yeah, for sure. Parkour gym is one thing we're looking into. Yeah.
There you go. And then third comment, Daniel. He was able to complete a Spartan race in the snow and hail. Uh, a buddy of mine, Jr. We used to run the Spartans all the time, and we said, Daniel, why don't you come run this one with us? We go to Big Bear, and it's freezing. I mean, well, 30 degrees to me is freezing. I'm a California boy. Freezing. And then it starts hailing and snowing. We get to the water obstacle, and we're
Right.
like, hell no, I'm burping out of this one. I'll do 30 burpees all day long for not going in that water. That was a good time. That was a good memory. I can't wait to get back out on the course. Every time I go to do a Spartan or sign up for a Spartan, man, something's been coming up, whether it's something here at the school or something with family or something, but I got to get back out on the course. So I can't wait to do it.
But
Um,
too, because there's only a couple theoretically like near us left by the end of the year. So I was thinking like I can do a trifecta real quick, even though I'm running as much, which is it's a huge thing. And I'm just upset with Spartan a little bit because they added all these fees and they did the parking now. So I'm kind of like upset, but it's still, from what I've seen, the best one, like the most fun and workout wise. The other ones, there's some that are just like almost purely fun, which I don't really want to do, because I like the workout and the challenge and everything.
right.
And uh, there's some that are like involving paint and all these different things. So I still might do it, but I'm just upset that they added all the fees and they keep changing races and all this weird stuff going on. So we'll see. But yeah,
Right.
I remember each Spartan race had something like you said, like it was hailing. Like the one in Florida, oddly enough, I can't remember where. I think Jacksonville. Like it was like mud pits. And even though it's flat, Florida doesn't have like a ton of hills or anything like that. That was the good news. But you would literally slog through mud, and it was like this deep. It was just mind blowing, for like a football field, which doesn't sound that long, but people were losing shoes.
Oh yeah.
It's ridiculous. Everything is like, memory is good. Memory is good. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, we were gonna do a as a team, we were gonna do one at Dodger Stadium, and I've done it at Dodger Stadium before. It's kind of cool. You go up and down the bleachers and stuff, and they still have the rope climbs and they have some other things. But what I really loved about Spartan races, I love being outside. We're inside the karate school a lot. I'm inside at the gym, meetings and such, and it's like getting outside. I grew up being outside. I mean, like you, I'm sure we grew up playing outside, riding dirt bikes, building forts, stuff like that. Being outside was just, and I remember doing my very first Spartan race. It was actually with my youngest brother. He talked me into it. I never even knew what it was, and the first one I ever did was a super. So it was like you said back then, you didn't know how long it was going to be. They said it was 8 plus. Well, it was like 11, you know. And I remember I was probably about 40 pounds overweight too. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll do it. And it sucked. It was really hard. But what I remember most was that we climbed this hill. We got to the top of the hill, and you look out, and the view that we saw from the top of that mountain was what I was like, this is what I love. I love doing these races for being, in the outdoors. Um, One of my favorite memories of a Spartan race. This was really cool. I'm going up a hill and I'm carrying a sandbag, and you had to drop the sandbag and do a burpee and then pick it up and then whatever, right? And there's this dude just like repping it out, going super quick and super strong and super good. And I look over and I'm like, holy shit, it's Joe DeSena,
Oh,
the
nice. Right.
creator of. And so like I'm trying to like get next to him and try to keep up with him, and I'm like, I'm not even close. But that was like one of my coolest, like, interesting memories on a Spartan race. What would you say would be one of your most memorable
Wow. So
happenings?
again, each race had something specific. I remember one time they had it was in like either North Carolina or South Carolina, somewhere where they had a ridiculous like hill. It wasn't like a famous one, but it's like one of the ones that was just like super like straight up,
Hmm.
absolutely insane. And I remember like me and Cheryl, because Cheryl's in phenomenal shape. She's probably in better shape than me. And we're sitting there running and everything, and we get over the hill, and then guess what? There's another hill. That's this is like you couldn't see it until you got to the top. We're like, oh my god! So we made it, through like two of those, and then the third one is like, okay, we're walking now. So we had to walk, and then we got to the top, and they had the bucket carry. So
Oh,
bucket carry, it used to be. I'm pretty sure it was like 50 pounds. I don't think it was 100 pounds. I'm pretty sure it was 50 pounds.
at
Um,
least.
at least for sure, and it could be 80. Heck if I know, but it was like a regular 5 gallon bucket filled with like gravel or sand or
Hmm.
something like. and you're supposed to carry it a specific way. Like you cannot put it on your shoulder.
Right.
Uh, no like handle on it. You like basically have to carry it like at your belly is the appropriate way. And so we get at the top of the hill. I'm like, oh, this ain't getting the thing down. Piece of cake. And so you start trekking down. We get to the bottom, and then guess what? It circles around. You got to go up the same freaking hill that you just came down. That's super steep. It was like mind blowing, but I finished it. Right, that was the key. It was like it doesn't matter how to shape you are or how fat you are, whatever. You could put the thing down. You can put it on your shoulder as long as you finish. It's like so many people don't finish what they start, which is a big thing that we try to teach. Finish what you start. At least get to some level that you set a goal with. Don't just give up. And that was one of the hardest things I did. I remember your arms are like falling off. I literally was trying to hook the. I don't consider it cheating. I was trying to hook the bottom of the barrel against my top of my shorts. Like I had the little I can't remember the name of them, but some kind of Spartan shorts, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
Velcro. It's like a Velcro thing, and it was just giving me a little bit of leverage where I could make it. And I just remember getting to the top, thank God, put it down. People were putting on the shoulders and passing out, and ambulances go up, and we finished and completed it. And that was, back when Spartan was hardcore. I don't know if they're still that hardcore, but I remember those days, and it was just mind blowing, what we accomplished. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and one of the things that I love about the Spartan races, and I've not done many other obstacle course, races before. I was never a fan of Tough Mudder. I would never do it. I was scared to death of getting shocked. That was the one thing that I did not want to do was get shocked. But the one thing that I love about Spartans and the other obstacle course races that we've done is the camaraderie out there on the course is pretty intense. I mean, it's pretty cool. And you're talking about, a great life lesson, for people watching, of course, go try a Spartan. It's a lot of fun, but finish what you started, right? Finish what you started. That's a life lesson there, right? You got two choices: keep going or quit, right? And then you got these people out on the course that see you about to break and see you about to quit, and they're like, let's go, come on, let's go. They're pulling you along, or you're doing that for someone else. I remember being on a race where we had a lady that she was a big lady. She was having a hard time. She was doing the rope climb up the slick incline
Yeah,
wall, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
And every time she would get about 3 steps, her feet would just come right out from under her, and she's crying, and she's just super having a hard time. And a buddy of mine and I, walk up, and one of us was behind her and one of us was in front of her, pulling her up and holding her feet basically so she couldn't slip. And it was kind of cool because it ended up being on like a highlight on a Spartan page or something. But the camaraderie that's out there on the course was just amazing, and it just reminded me so much of martial arts, because in our martial arts school we're the same way. We're all working out together. We're all kind of starting to die down, and you find that energy to lift the person up, the person next to you up, or they're lifting you up, and you're pushing each other. And I just think that's one of the things that I really love about it. So I see, now we got to go sign up for one now, now that we're
Dude,
now that
you're
we're talking about it.
middle somewhere. Yeah, it's man.
Now, did you ever do any bodybuilding or anything like that?
You know, I thought about it before, and I'm pretty disciplined in everything. The longest I've ever gone, I've done, that's another fitness thing. So we've done all the insanity workouts, and what the company is, but the other ones, Beachbody is what it's called.
Hmm.
We love that. That was great. We got all the workouts. Cheryl still has VHS tapes and crap, from back in the day. Ridiculous. And we loved doing those just because it's and we've gone to seminars before and everything. But doing those kind of things and completing it and getting a T-shirt or whatever is pretty awesome as well. And so I remember uh, Cheryl's really into a lady called Kathy Friddick, and there's a bunch of other Kathys too. And I've taken her to the little seminars. She's been on TV. I can't remember if she's in a video or not, but she's Cheryl's really good shape. She can do all the stepping where they go around, they twist around, do all that crap. I can't do any of that. And so the longest I've ever made it was, I'm pretty sure the second insanity, I made it 60 days of basically eating perfect, exactly. And of course I got, pretty shredded. And that's the longest I've ever gone because I like to eat.
Hmm.
like Tough, no matter how good I do, my mindset is I can always burn it off tomorrow, that day or whatever in a workout. And usually I do. But I like to eat. And so I considered doing some kind of bodybuilding show, like as I get older, in like the whatever they call it, the old age division or whatever now that I'm in. But I haven't ever committed to that. But that could be a goal coming up. I mean, it would be something fun, and like you have basically probably a year to prepare and everything like that. So who knows, maybe. But
Well, a good friend of mine who may watch this later. It's actually his birthday today, so happy birthday, Marcus, on 4th of July. But he's getting ready to compete in his first ever. It was just a goal that he set, and he was not, he was not in the shape that he wanted to be in, and he just set a goal. He's like, well, if I'm going to get in shape, I'm going to go do a bodybuilding contest. But you know what? When I look at you, and you're ripped on the daily, like you're pretty much ready to go now. So yep, if you could do that, I think that would be an awesome goal for you, and something that you do really well at.
yeah,
Um,
my
the
kids
only
talk
thing,
19. My kids talked about it, and he's got my metabolism and everything, so he doesn't even try super hard martial arts. Of course, he's one of my top instructors, but he talked about it too, and he did it for like a week. So I was trying to wait a couple weeks to see if he's going to do it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll do it too if you do it, but it's got like a mutual thing, because you need partners a lot of time, like you said, the camaraderie when you're torturing yourself by eating chicken breast every day with no sauce on it. It's like I gotta have some.
yep. Hey, the only thing, it's funny, we didn't really talk too much about it, but we haven't talked about the style of martial arts that you train in, and what you teach. Can you just tell everybody a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So it's the same style that I originally started, other than Kung Fu. Kung Fu was like praying mantis Kung Fu. And like I said, I only did that for like a month or two. I only remember something like the fighting posture was like you had to look through your hand or something. I thought was really weird. That's the only thing I remember. Who knows if it was right, but I take Matsubiyashi Shonryu, so traditional Okinawan karate, and same style I've been taking forever, and same thing we do. We definitely have changed up like how we teach. Obviously, we try to avoid whacking each other with shinai now, and standing backs. We're doing push-ups and that kind of thing, unfortunately. But we have changed that, but the style is still the same. We've done BJJ. We've taught that before. We had Tai Chi at one time. We had a Tai Chi instructor at one time. Didn't really catch on or anything. So yeah, Matsubiyashi is kind of what we do. Yes, sir.
Yeah, old school Okinawan karate. It's funny you talk about, people laugh and think that we're joking when we talked about like getting hit with a shinai, or like an eskrima stick, or whatever they had in their hand. If your stance wasn't low enough, or you weren't straight enough, or and I don't know, something about that, and just in general, that type of discipline. Because as a kid, I was spanked, and
Yeah,
like it worked. Some people aren't going to agree with that, and some people aren't going to like that. But you know, things have changed a lot in our martial arts schools. Just really, maybe even in the last 10 years. Um, as far as that discipline goes. I mean, what are you seeing? What are you seeing as kind of a trend in the changes in general?
absolutely. So I think it's the same all around, not just martial arts, but everything kind of like I mean, interesting word, whatever. I think things get talked about now more than they maybe used to. So I don't know if safer is the right word, but I agree. Like in the last like 10 years, it's really been a shift, and we fun classes and everything. I actually thought because we follow the Maya method, where there's different programs depending on how serious the kid is and how awesome they are, the adult or whatever it is, and we thought about doing almost like a old school traditional like program where it's like you have to check a box like can be hit with a shinai check and, and I stands for 1 hour or whatever. I mean, I remember going down to Panama City probably when I was like 16 or probably 18, because I'm pretty sure I was a black belt. I can't remember. And Sensei Lording, another one of my senseis, my sensei's sensei, who we trained with a couple times, and he was in Panama City and no air conditioner. It was basically in a warehouse, kind of setting, and we would roll the doors up, and that would be the air conditioning. And it was probably like 127 or however hot it felt. And I literally remember squatting there in a big group. We started with a big group and ended with a very small group. Jigatai stance, which is kind of like a horse stance or whatever for probably you guys, toe to toe with every other person in a circle. And every person, which I mean, no joke, started probably with maybe 45 people or 50 people. It was like a seminar thing. And every person would count to 100, and we would just sit there and do punches. So at the end, I remember counting it up or whatever. We did something like 3,200 punches or something. Those of us that were still in, which was like maybe 5 people, including the instructor, the head guys, and I was one, of course. And I remember like getting out of my horse stance, my jigatai stance, which I didn't come up the whole time, I want to say, but who knows. And I remember like literally I looked down and like, it was kind of gross, but there was like dead skin, from pivoting a little bit and gripping with your toes and everything, and the sweat coming down and everything. It was like literally I had like imprints of my feet on the ground before it was. But that's the kind of thing that, makes you disciplined and tough and everything. And now, oh my gosh, if somebody got a little hot or whatever, you'd be sued or whatever. So you got to be careful. But, it's like, I really think it'd be kind of neat to have some kind of gigantic ironclad waiver where you could train like that again with people if they really wanted it, because I mean, the benefits are outstanding and better than they are now, even though now's benefits are still, awesome as well, but it's just not the same. Yeah.
Well, and you talk about, those are the physical requirements or the physical challenges, right? Um, just imagine, I mean, just people are offended by words. You know what I mean? Like you can't tell, you can't say certain things because people are going to get their feelings hurt instead of maybe just taking it to heart. And like saying "suck it up" is not, you know, it's, I guess it's not acceptable. I mean,
I
I
have a
don't know. I think it is.
I literally, that was my saying back in the personal training days and everything like that, is like, suck it up. It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever happens, I'm going to be successful. I mean, God forbid a meteor could hit right now and destroy my house or whatever. It's okay. It's just the house, I'll build it back, whatever you want to call it. And no matter what happens, I'll still be successful. It'll just maybe take a little longer or whatever, happens. And people just have to learn to suck it up for sure. Yes. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. I'm sure that you do school talks and you go out and do some public speaking with different groups. What is your message that you like to leave people with? So anybody watching now or live, or anybody that watches this later, what would be the message that you want to leave everybody with?
Absolutely. So I do a couple other things too. I do Toastmasters, which if people haven't heard about, it's kind of like a public speaking thing. And again, not sounding egotistical, but from martial arts, I've been public speaking for years. I still remember being nervous, when you had to get up in front of a, crowd of like 30 people or something, ridiculous at like a little festival and like break a
Hmm.
board in front of them or whatever. I remember those days. And now it's like nothing. And like you said, I do career days and all these different things. And I love talking to people and, telling them what I do or trying to help their lives or whatever. And Toastmasters is a fun thing I do. I'm the president. And it's a nice little club. And it's one of the things that we do that I really enjoy is called table topics. And table topics are random things. So somebody comes up with a list of maybe 5 things. You can pick a number between 1 and 5. And the first question could be something easy, like, what's your favorite food and why? And the third question could be something hard, like, well, what do you think of the political situation in Ukraine? It could be various things, because people have to learn to talk off the top of their head or spur of the moment, because when they meet somebody, it's not going to necessarily be a prearranged question or you're not going to have notes in your hand or whatever. So I really enjoy that aspect. To answer your question, finally, other than Toastmasters little prop thing there, in our dojo, we try to be a little bit cooler than normal, a little bit different. Like I said, I like to be different and original. So we actually have a skateboard on the wall, and there's a skateboard company, a really cool company called Zero, and most of their skateboards, whatever the design is, obviously has zero somewhere on it. So I got this limited edition one, and it's autographed by like the owner of the company and famous skateboarder guy and everything, Jamie Thomas, really cool guy. And it has zero real big, but it's also like American flag on it. It's kind of like shiny and it like really eye catching, but it says zero on it. So I took a vinyl cutter thing and I wrote excuses. So it has a skateboard where it's on the wall where it says zero and then excuses on the bottom. So the message is zero excuses, which is kind of like suck it up, but maybe a friendlier way of saying it. I think, excuses are a lot of times confused with reasons. There's a difference between an excuse and a reason. And most of the time, I would hazard to say 95% of the time, no matter who you are or what you are or who you're talking to, whatever, it's an excuse, which is basically just laziness, right? So our number one goal is, whether it's the staff, like, why didn't you sign that person up? Well, zero excuses, right? It's like, tell me the real reason or whatever it is. Like, why don't you want to sign up if you're a person? Just tell me the real reason. It's cool. See if we can, help you combat that or come one time a week or whatever we're going to do to try to help you. And I think if people just got rid of their excuses, like before they say anything, like, well, I could do that, but blah blah blah. Just like stop it right there and just say, is that excuse? Zero excuses, and just do it. That's probably my message to the people.
I love it. I love it because I think that you can talk yourself into anything one way or another. And so, zero excuses. I'm going to remember that. I like that a lot. I mean, I obviously think that, and I think we've all heard it, but just the way you phrased it. And I'm going to remember the skateboard. So,
Yeah,
thank,
I love skateboards, and I actually started at 40 years old just for fun. So I try to get zone as much as possible, which would probably be my second thing that I would talk about forever. Like getting out of your comfort zone is key too. Yeah.
Totally. Well, hey, I want to let you go enjoy your 4th of July with your family. And thank you for being on the show. You know, the reason that I invite people on to this show is because you have provided some motivation to me in one way or another. And we've talked about a few of the different things. So I appreciate you sharing your story and just your energy. And I hope that people that watch this later will get a lot out of it. I know that I did. I always enjoy these conversations each and every Monday. Next week, we'll have another guest. We typically meet on Mondays at 12 o'clock California time, but I also have a special guest this Wednesday. This Wednesday, I have Pat Montoya, who is the president and founder of Not One More. He's going to talk about drug and alcohol addiction and the effects of it and how he helps people get help. So we're going to talk to him on Wednesday, and then we'll have more guests on Monday. And Mr. Brewster, I will see you in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Martial Arts Super Show 2022. I'm excited to be there again and excited to see you.
Yes, sir. I'm excited to see you. I appreciate you having me on. I had a blast, had fun, and yeah, try to find motivation somewhere. You motivate me. My staff motivates me. They're awesome. My wife, super awesome kids. So yeah, find motivation somewhere for sure.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, enjoy your 4th of July, and we'll see you next time. All right. Take care.